Friends, family, and keepers of the faith, welcome to another Delboy blog. And as always, we're going to date stamp this, so it's year 3, blog 39, or in legacy numbers, blog 143, and it's dated 17th of November 2024. And as always, I'll just start off by just saying about the weather, and it looks pretty sunny out there at the moment, but a bit cold. Still got all them leaves, on the garden. That's about it, really. Other than I think we'll get the news out of the way, the less said about the weather, although that is in the news. We'll start off, therefore, with the war in Ukraine. It says here, Zelensky said Russia's war against his country will end sooner than it would have once been less Donald Trump becomes US president. Zelensky said on Friday he had a constructive exchange with Trump after his victory. I don't hear anything that goes against our position. And Trump said, we're going to work hard on Russia and Ukraine to get it to stop. What can I say about that? Can you believe anything, really, when you hear all the media saying how close Trump is with Putin? He may have had a constructive talk with Trump to congratulate him on his second tenure as a president. But, that might be just niceties. It could have been out the blue, and it's like, oh, okay, what do I say? We know the things he has said, which he said he can get it done in 24 hours. I just don't believe a word of it. All I want is for the war to end and for it to come to the proper result, in my opinion, and that is that the war ends and Ukraine get their land back. It will be looked upon then as what a complete waste of money all of that was, and just a stupid thing to start off on in the first place. Not a lot else for me to say on it, really. So we've got some UK news. It's been all over the news this weekend about the weather, snow warnings as weather turns colder. Now, I've heard all of this before, and sometimes it's come true and sometimes it's not. It is colder, but snow this early, I've got my doubts for where I am. Not for people that are higher up on the plain, that are closer to the mountains and high hills, but the Midlands, where I'm at, London, nah, I really don't see it. Other things on the news, Gary Lineker is leaving Match of the Day in 2025. About time, really, I say on that, just purely because he gets so much money for such little work. I mean, it's great if you can get that, but to sustain that, no. I think he said that it'd take a cut in wages. I did hear that, and they rejected it. Good for the BBC, really. You do need a shake-up sometimes as well. You need new presenters to come forward. He's been in that role 20 plus years. That's a long time, I don't like to see anybody lose their job, but I don't think he's going to not have money, for the next 10, 15 years doing something else. The other thing that I saw on the news was the sad thing about Davina McCall, another famous sort of like personality over here in the UK. She stated she had a brain tumour and she'd gone to several specialists and they'd all said the same thing. Looking at the news last night and early this morning, it seems that she's had the operation. Doesn't say what the result is. I wish her well. That's all I can say on that. After many health things that I've heard from people and myself. And then the other big news was the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight that was going on, which I thought was a complete silly thing to do, but apparently Mike Tyson was going to get 20 million from it, and Jake Paul was going to get 40 million, and all of this sort of stuff. Hey, to have 8 rounds, 2 minutes at that for each round, if you're going to get that sort of money, fair play. I mean, they used to say back in the day when Mike Tyson was like king, I'd go in there for 1 round, knock me out in 15 seconds if you want, if I'm going to get a payday like that. And silly thing to say, really, because, you know, when you consider that, you know, 1 blow can kill you. But yeah, anyway, it was predictable. You know, a very, you know, 58-year-old, I think he was, Tyson, going into the ring against someone, you know, 30 years your junior, regardless of whether they've got very little boxing experience or not. You're not going to relive the George Foreman years. You know, even he was not in the 50 bracket. But entertaining for people, I suppose. I saw highlights and went, it went the way that I thought it was going to go. And, you know, I love boxing because my dad and I used to watch the Muhammad Ali fights. And I fell in love with that. And, of course, I loved all the fights that I saw with Barry McGuigan and, you know, Nigel Benn, Chris Eubank, you know, just to name, you know, just a couple there. I loved it. But this is a farce. A person who did blogs for a living, going, you know, suddenly bulking himself up and then going up against these celebrities. Hey, I suppose you could consider me a Vblogger. Maybe I should say, hey, Mike Tyson, do you want to go with me? I'll do it for 5 million. It'd be 1 fight goodbye. There you are. And that was the funny thing about that. That's pretty much the news that I've got to say, really. You know, there's a lot more in the news. Such distressing news as well. You know, about families beating up and killing their daughter and all this sort of stuff. I saw lots of stuff in the news, but I thought a lot of people will have heard all that and just put a couple of things in. So we talk a little bit about me and what my week's been like. What can I say? It's been a goodish week. Yeah. So after the blog last week, we come to Monday. I started to do my blood pressure readings. I sort of like do 3 of them. I do one after 15 minutes of taking my tablets, and then 25 minutes, and then 30 minutes. And it drops, you know. You've always got that, you know, that, oh, I don't want to do this attitude when you get up in the morning and do it. And that's probably why the blood pressure readings are higher. And then you sort of like take deep breaths and calm down a little bit, and then it gets a bit lower and you go, oh, that's better. And then you take more deep breaths and do it another 5 minutes later, and of course it's a much better thing. I'll talk about those readings towards the end because on Friday something else happened. But I didn't do any walking until Wednesday. You may remember that I said I had pains in my chest, and those were still there. And I've been taking pain medication. There's 2 more tablets than I normally do at lunchtime, and that's eased the pain. Sleep has slightly improved towards the end of the week, but we're still at Monday at the moment, so there's nothing really to report there. And I didn't do a game series video that Monday because I was going to be doing something in the evening with Mamemeister, and we did a nice and nasty podcast where he asked me to interview him. which I was honoured to do. But there's, just like anything when you're doing a podcast and that, you don't know, am I doing it in the same way that, you know, you've done it for other interviewees, or are you going to give me a structure? He was very open and basically said, you know how it goes. We're going to just do it off the cuff. And it was fun to do. We started off and we thought it'd be about, oh, I don't know, he said about an hour and 20 minutes. It went for an hour and 40. I thought that initially that it was me that made it overrun, but my God, does Alan talk for Scotland. As much as people say you go on a bit, don't you? My God, man, you can talk for Scotland. But it was so much fun, and to be quite honest, I couldn't contradict the choices of the 3 good games and the 3 bad games to get rid of from the whole of existence. I mean, they were pretty spot on, you know, tap the nail in, that was gone, you know. I mean, people have listened to my podcast. I think it was episode 7. This was episode 25. And we've all got a different view. Do we want a game that's for, you know, with long standing, that will take you forever to complete? And do you want to get rid of games that are just so badly written? Or is it because of a certain trait that's in it, like networking and all that sort of stuff, you know, cooperative play and that. It's an interesting concept. I loved it. Thought it was brilliant. But I worried a little bit, you know. It got to about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and I was going, God, a couple of hours and I've got to do this interview. How am I going to start it off? How am I going to end it? What questions am I going to ask? But you know, this is me where I need to calm down. You know, don't worry about these things. So Monday ended up really on a high. Tuesday came along. Again, the blood pressure readings that I have to do in the morning. Did a little bit more around the house. Watched some films. That was it. Tuesday afternoon, I decided I'm going to watch some TV and films. Have a block booking, you know, of something from like 2 o'clock till 6 o'clock. Because I need something to write about, you know, something to talk about. And I don't do that. I do it on at very weird moments, you know. I've got an hour and a half spare, I'll put a film on. Or I've got an hour spare, I'm going to put a TV program on. It's very much like that. Rather than blocking something in. So, yeah, Tuesday afternoon was a bit of that. And Wednesday was me starting to do a walk. So I'd still on the painkillers, but I decided, along with my picking up shopping, I'm going to go my old route, which is a longer walk. You know, I go for a walk, get as far as I can, turn back, do the shopping for my mother and walk back. So I thought I'll do that, but I'm obviously going to be a bit concerned about how far I can go. So I'll restrict it to being just over a mile. And that includes the shopping. So I went down, you know, one of our longest streets that's around where I live. Went past my old, just past near my old house, cut across to the main road, got to Sainsbury's, did the shopping, and then walked home. And it was about 1.3 miles. And no pains in my chest. I constantly looked at my watch for my heartbeat. My resting heartbeat is generally around in the 60s. When I've gone for walks in the past with the blocked artery, my heart would go to 125, which isn't bad. It's still low aerobic level. And when I went for my walk, it didn't go above 105. So that filled me with lots and lots of encouragement. Yes, it did. And I thought to myself, look, you better not go on a Thursday, but go on a Friday. So do it every other day. So that was good. I had a phone call in the morning from the hospital to talk about my physiotherapy for next week. I hadn't forgotten. I just couldn't remember if it was on the 19th or the 20th and what time. So I said I was looking forward to it. I told her how the operation went. She's looking forward to seeing me on Monday. It's a couple of hours. Some leg exercises, walking on treadmills, that sort of thing. And then look forward to my evening chat with Ian Hill, the Ramblings. Yes, we had that chat. That was very good. Logged in, had a number of people that joined us. We chatted about everything like normal, TV, music, all of that sort of stuff. Had a great time. At the end, we have our little private chat, and that was enlightening. That was pretty good. It's always good to catch up because he's watched some stuff that I haven't watched, and I've watched some stuff that he hasn't watched. And of course, we always talk about the big news stories in regards to what's been announced this week for release and future release. We talked also about Amazon's cancellation policy. That's an old chestnut that we like to talk about. And it all ended on a high. And we get to Thursday. Thursday was the rest day after the walk. Just trying to think. I ordered a new stand because I wanted to do more stuff in regards to books and things, which I haven't got PDFs of. So I need a camera that points down. So I bought a stand and put my very old camera at the end of it. And you can see it here. There we are. That's overhead cam. So that's going to be used in the future. You can move it down and focus and all of that sort of stuff. It's going to take a little bit of play to get that to work, but quite excited about that. So that turned up Thursday. And I set that up in the evening. Friday came along. Just before I was going to go for my walk and after doing my blood pressure readings, the surgeon that performed my operation called me up. Now, I had a letter this week that said it was going to be the 25th of April. He phoned up 2 weeks after my operation. I thought it was a bit weird. I said, I wasn't expecting your call. And he said, no, he said, I've just had a bit of time and you were on my piece of paper and I thought I'd phone you now. You don't mind, do you? I went, no. So I told him about the pain in my chest and that I've been taking these painkillers. He's urged me to take myself off of them Monday, which I'm going to do. That's just before physiotherapy. So Sunday night, tonight, I'll take myself off of them. Not the ones that I normally take because I need those for my sciatica and my leg, but the ones that I take in the middle of midday, I'm taking myself off of those. So I will be sort of like preening myself off of 30 extra milligrams of codeine, which is scary, but I think that after 2 weeks the healing should be there. Do you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to that. I told him about how I think that the GP surgery is operated, and I told him how bad it was that I can't speak to a GP until the 25th, all of that sort of stuff. And he agreed and said, yeah, the National Health Service is pretty poor at the moment. Bear with it. I've had a word with him and that's relieved me. And he said, there you are. Try not to worry. The thing that you need to do now is concentrate on doing your walks, get your weight down, eat properly, those sort of things. And he wasn't worried about the pain in my chest after I told him that when I went for a walk, I didn't get pains in my chest. It was just the golf ball pressing down feeling that I got straight after the operation and was still there 5 days afterwards. So he said, yeah, that's just all bruising. So all of that was all good news. Friday night I had a bit of time, so I structured my blog, just put in the pages, shout outs, what I watched on YouTube, all of that sort of stuff. And Saturday came along and I watched the normal things that I normally do. In the week I bought and downloaded a game called, I forgot what it's called, Murphwood, something like that, Millwood. A sort of like Stardew Valley meets role-playing game meets crafting game, which was released about a week earlier and was getting lots and lots of airplay on YouTube. And I liked this style of the artwork, so I bought it and I loaded it up for the first time on Friday, enjoyed what I'd played, and on Saturday, after doing more blog notes, because I was ahead of in regards to how things were on Friday, I played a little bit more on Saturday and enjoyed it again. It's quite nice. I've picked up a few more quests to do. And we get to where we are now. So last night, I just watched a bit of TV, played on a game, and that sort of thing, really. That's the week. So, I mean, is there anything bad in there? No, can't think of anything. It's been all right. I could do with more weeks like that. I'm on track to going back to work. That's going to be interesting. I keep counting down the days, and I know that I've got work to do in the garden, but I haven't been able to do it because of my heart. And I don't want it to be a big rush at the end, and then hurt my back and knee and all of that sort of stuff. So I've decided that also, if physiotherapy goes well on Monday, that I'll do a little and often bit in the garden, like cutting the dead leaves off for the gladioli. Not doing anything like digging and all of that sort of stuff. I need to put some mulch down to if the frosts are coming. So that's something that I need to do. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. I'm sorry that was a bit boring, but the blog is a diary. Just want to remind people that I talk about good and bad. And it's purely there, if I mention it, that it was on my mind. The diary is what goes on in your mind, written down for you to remember whether you had a good day, a bad day, and what was the deciding factor on why it was bad, and what was the deciding factor on whether you had something that was good. I'm sure more women will probably be appreciative of this, that that they would always talk about dates and how the boy treated them on their date and all of that sort of stuff. You put your heart into a diary, and that's what this blog is. So, that's why I mentioned the good and the bad, and what those things were that caused me distress, or what those things were that made me happy. So, if something was on my mind, I'd have mentioned it. That's all I can really say. I had lots of stuff that came in the post from Amazon. Most of the stuff that got delivered, by the way, didn't get left on the doorstep this time, so maybe they are learning. The only thing was I had a cancellation of a steelbook, which I managed to source a newer version. But that's what we were talking about on Wednesday in Ian Hill, The Ramblings, about how Amazon can cancel without even telling you. So, the only other things I did was I updated a lot of my laptops and things. I turned them on for the first time in ages and downloaded all the Windows updates for them and made sure they worked. It's that sort of thing. I'm sort of like trying to get little jobs done. So clearing up this room is obviously high on the agenda. That requires me, though, to go upstairs and clear up the room upstairs so that I can put them in the places that I clear up in. Oh, it's just a nightmare uphill struggle. Oh, there is one thing. I did notice that on the last couple of journeys in my car, the clutch pedal didn't always return fully up. It only did it twice. It's only done it twice in 4 weeks, but I haven't been using the car a lot. So I looked up on the internet, and the internet said if you've got the car that I've got, which is an Audi, there is a common fault in regards to the clutch fluid and the servo, the clutch servo. They recommend that you change your clutch fluid every 2 years. The servo can go anytime from 40,000 miles up to about 70 or 80,000 miles. And of course, it's still got the original servo there, and my car is now at 75,000 miles. The car is a 2016, so of course it's 8 years old, so it's very low mileage. And of course, next to nothing in the last couple of years, along with COVID. So, yeah. So I phoned up the garage that my dad used a lot, and I spoke to him, and I said, I need to get my car down. When can you get it done? And he said he couldn't do anything until Wednesday. And I said, I just think I need the clutch fluid changing at the moment. And he went, what car is it? And he said, oh, you'll need the servo changing. And he asked me what miles, and I told him, and he said, yeah. It's going to be a clutch servo and the clutch fluid. And then I asked him the price. And unfortunately, it is a high price, but it's purely in relation to what the internet said. When I put in how much does it cost to have your clutch fluid changed, the average price is £80 to £120. And it's mostly to do with labour. The length of time it takes to drain and then put the stopcock back in and then fill it back up and then test. So this guy's told me that he will take the clutch fluid out, change the servo, put the clutch fluid back in, test the clutch tensioner, pedal, and clutch cable, and adjust as necessary. And the price was 180, which I sort of like really snapped his fingers off for, because even if the clutch fluid was 110, the servo must come to 20 or 30 quid. So there's 150. And then the adjustments to the pedal, clutch, cable, etc. 180, fair enough. You know what I mean? That's going to be taken in on Wednesday. It'll be a 3-hour job. I've got no way of getting home. I'm hoping that my health remains the same. I'm taking it down at 8 in the morning. That's when they open. He'll do it first thing, he said. That takes me to 11 in the morning. So I'll go into town, walk round town a couple of times, then stop in at a Costa or a Starbucks, have a nice cup of coffee. Probably walk around HMV, see what films are out, that sort of stuff. Walk back, watch some things on my phone and wait for 11 o'clock to come along. Pretty much that'll be my Wednesday morning. So that's a big chunk of time out of my week, but I'm getting a big job done. And of course, I will ask him as well about testing the radiator fluid. See if it's the litmus paper test is good for winter, because you don't want your radiator to freeze. And that was last done 3 years ago. So I'm expecting him to come back and say that needs to be done. But I won't get that done there and then. I'll get that done around Christmas time, where it'll be a bit boring between Christmas and New Year. And I'll pre-book it in and take that down as a little job for myself before the cold snap comes in. So, yeah, sorry, I needed to add that in. I forgot all about that. So, yeah, money I don't want to spend, but I definitely need, when I go back to work, to be able to travel to my place of work and back, even if I do only go once a week. I need to make sure that my car is ready. So, yeah, good. So, we'll move on then to the shout-outs. Oh, I love the shout-outs. It's those people that have left a comment. So, this week, here they are, no particular order. Every single one I want a big thank you for. They are Martroid, Wee Bob Art, Gans Teeth, Colin Jones, aka Ponder, Atu the Cat, Steve's Gaming, Carl Todd, Denny, Jambon, Ian Hill, The Ramblings. And I'm pretty sure there will be some names that were in the games that I did, the gaming series. Didn't have time to write those down this morning. I needed to get this blog sort of like done so I could do some things with my mum this afternoon. So sorry if I haven't read those out, but a big thank you to all those that did. It's really appreciative that you watch this little gaming series and see me cock up on just about every game that's in there. But absolutely brilliant. Loved it. And might as well start reading out some of the comments and stuff that was left. The very first one that is coming up here, if I can just get my mouse, here we go, is Carl Todd. And he's put, "Hi Del. I hope the recovery is going well and the chest pain is easing up. I think I'll know that this week, but I've got a funny feeling everything's fine. So thanks very much for asking. I hope your mum is feeling better too. She's had an okay-ish week. She hasn't told me, I haven't heard her coughing a lot. The memory thing still worries me. I've cooked her meals in the evening like I've always done. She's been appreciative of those. I've gone in to see whether she's watching TV. She's got the stray cat that comes into our house on occasion on her lap, and she's stroking the cat and seems to be okay. So that's good. You continue. I wonder if you ordered the Elton John Blu-ray that I mentioned. Yes, you sent a chat message to me. Thank you very much. I've never heard of this company, but they do specialist albums into Blu-ray with full okayance from the performer, and they do them in Dolby Atmos and so forth. They remix the tracks. So there's this Elton John one. So I said, I wonder if you ordered the Elton John Blu-ray that I mentioned. I don't know if you know about that website, and I didn't want you to miss out on it. Yeah, because it was a pre-order. So yes, I did order it. It was a good price. And looking at the website, there's a number of other ones. There's some Who albums and the Alan Parsons Project albums. And what else did I see? I saw Prince and a load of others. And I was most interested in the Alan Parsons ones. I think they've done most of them now. They've done Ammonia Avenue and Pyramid, Turn of a Friendly Card. They've done a few of the albums. Some of them were sold out, which is a disappointment. They all come with a booklet, and they've been redone in either Dolby Atmos or DTS 5.1. So yeah, I'm interested, and I've ordered the Elton John one as a first, and then I'll look back and see if the Alan Parsons ones come in again, because I'd be interested in those. I like Alan Parsons. I think it'd suit well to Blu-ray audio. So yeah, looking forward to that. So you then said some questions. I know that you buy movie and game special collections. I know of your love for t-shirts too. So the question is, if you get a t-shirt on one of these special collections, do you wear it or do you keep it with the collection? Do you know what? That's a good question, and the sad answer to it is I keep it in the box, and that's sad. I do remember that I was tempted to wear them because I'd lost an awful lot of weight, and the t-shirts that they usually put them in are usually XL, right? So I knew I could get in them. Now I wouldn't probably be able to, because I need now XXL, because I need to get my weight down again, plus all the sciatica and so forth. But I've got some Half-Life ones, t-shirts. I know I've got that one. What other t-shirts have I had? I think I had one for Black and White. No. I didn't. That was Bullfrog, and they didn't put them in. There was a couple of RTS games though that I've had. I think I bought a special one that was not inside the box, but when you bought it from the computer shop, they had the t-shirts as promotions. Sim City was one. I got a Sim City t-shirt. Can't think of any others, but I have got t-shirts. Half-Life 1 is definitely there. I think the other t-shirts have come along when I've bought Xbox 360 or PS3 and 4 games. Yeah, like Halo. Yeah, I've got a Halo t-shirt. That came in Halo 4 or 5. It was a hexagonal type box, I remember that. And Soul Calibur. Yeah, got a Soul Calibur t-shirt. I haven't worn any of them. They're all in there. Probably moth-ridden now. Take them out. Anyway, that's a good question. Second one. This has probably been asked before, but can you tell us some of your favourite TV theme songs? Oh my God. Now, I've always wanted to do a video of my favourite composers and themes to movies and TV and so forth, but I know I get copyright claims. And I've been thinking about ways around it, and there just isn't one. I think it's more interesting not to tell you about the favourite ones themselves, because there's so many of them, is to say what I think makes up a great TV song, right? Because you do say favourite TV theme songs. Yeah. For me, for a song to work, it's got to be catchy, first of all. And if it's a TV programme, it's got to be like you're trying to sell a product, you know? Many of us will remember, if we're in the 70s and 80s, will remember that Bird's Eye and all of those adverts had songs in them, right? Quick Fit Fitter and all of this sort of stuff. You know, you can't get better than a Quick Fit Fitter. There, the boys do trust, you know, all of that. So a theme to a TV series has got to be quintessentially catchy. And whenever I've tried to play piano and tried to do something myself, I've noticed that I use what they call sympathetic chords. Chords that match what I'm playing in the melody hand. So if it's dramatic, I'll drop it down to very low chords, and the right hand will slow down as well to give an eeriness to things. So all of the songs that I'm going to mention now, like I'll mention a few now, right? Let's see. Flintstones. Yeah, theme tune to the Flintstones. Happy Days. Laverne and Shirley. The Cheers theme. Oh, I don't know. I could Aquamarina from Stingray. The Captain Scarlet theme. You know, which was sung by the Spectrum at the end. Well, they were from about episode 8 onwards. I don't know. You know, even older ones, you know, Green Acre, Mr. Ed, all of these sort of things. The things that they've got in common is they've got progressive of chords that are sympathetic to the melody. It's almost like you can guess what the chord will be for the next part that comes up, right? He-Man, perfect example. He-Man, yeah. If you listen to it, it's da 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 da. In the left hand, it's all sympathetic chords to go with that melody, right? You could a very complex tune that's probably in the charts will use those sympathetic chords as well, but they will fill them in with chords that you wouldn't naturally expect, because they're also trying to do the bass line and everything else. And so it can get a bit muddled. is what I'm trying to say. But a theme tune really needs to be simple, catchy. ABBA were fantastic at their chords that they used. If you ever listen to The Winner Takes It All, and you listen to those chords, it's just absolutely amazing. You can actually guess the chord that's coming up. So I've got that theory in my head that the most catchiest of tunes are all of the ones that we listened to in the 70s and 80s, early 90s, because they weren't trying to do anything other than give you a catchy tune to hum the next day. Cheers is such an incredible opening theme. You know, it's all just very simple. Dum 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 dum. That's all it is. You know, wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go. Everybody knows your name. Dum 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 dum. See, dum 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 dum. The chords, just absolutely amazing. So I've mentioned some now. I mean, Cheers is obviously there. I used to like things like The Big Bang Theory because they were clever, but I got so sick of it. Same with Friends. But my favourite themes are the ones that have no song, that have no words. They're not songs; they're themes. So, you know, I love the theme to Space 1999. Randall and Hopkirk Deceased. Oh, by the way, the chord progression in Randall and Hopkirk Deceased, just sublime. You know, Captain Scarlet, which I mentioned before. Star Trek the motion picture. All of those fantastic themes. And they all have fantastic chord progression. I think, I mean, I must have bored everybody to death now, but I really do totally believe that, what I've mentioned. I might be wrong. I am semi-keyboard player. I've I like to learn along with other tunes that are on the internet, and I basically watch people play them, and I've tried to mimic it myself, and I've got sheet music, and I tried to play it from the sheet music, but my sheet music reading is so slow. I can't do it like that. I'm much better at listening and saying what key it's in and that sort of stuff. So anyway, I think I've gotten away with that one maybe a little bit, and given you some TV themes there. All old stuff, nothing really new in there. And number 3, since Christmas is everywhere, even though it is only November, do you have a favourite Christmas TV advert? Yeah, the one that comes to mind every year, and I can't get away without going to YouTube, finding it down and playing it, is the Have a Happy Christmas at Woolworths advert. I play it to death. It's the tune. Have a happy Christmas at Woolworths. You know what I mean? Again, catchy. Just can't get it out of your head once it's in. And all of the Christmas adverts, as a kiddie, I remember the Evel Knievel, the $6 Million Man toy, the Simon, Game of Life, Mousetrap, Operation, the Mad Doctor's Game, all those toys. But the Christmas ones will probably be things like Allspice, Denim, all of those aftershave adverts, Dairy Milk, all because the lady loves milk tray. Well, she can sod off. That's what my dad used to say. Oh yeah, always do the most expensive chocolate box set in the shops. To have your missus turn around and say that's what I want. I could just do with an orange cream. My mum said I could just do with an orange cream. Can you go and get me a box of Dairy Milk? My dad go, oh, for God's sake, I ain't going now. And then I'm sure he went to work saying, where can I get a cheap box from? Because they were damn expensive. Always the most expensive bloody chocolates out there. But yeah, I used to love the Christmas adverts. I think the Christmas adverts now, the big problem is that the media are more excited about it than the general public. Do I care whether Marks and Spencer's have got the £3 million advert or something that of about a bloke who lives on the moon and a little girl that looks up in a telescope and sees this man and he's lonely at Christmas, and all of the other ones where dogs jumping on trampolines and all of this sort of stuff? What a load of shite. I'd much rather go back to the denim and the Guinness and the Old Spice adverts, Brute aftershave as well, and all of those box sets adverts. Not interested in all this Debenhams and Marks and Spencer's bollocks. And I'm ranting again. So yeah, the Woolworths advert is the one that I look forward to. Take care, you say, and thanks for answering all the previous questions. My salute to you, Carl. Thank you very much. Absolute pleasure. And the next one on the list is War and Peace Denny. This is what I normally call him now. He says, and I quote, "Hiya, mate. Hope you're both on the up." That's my mum and me. Have to say how fresh and chipper you're looking on your videos. So glad the operation you've had has helped you on becoming your old self again. Thank you so much for saying that. I know I am conscious when I look back at a video, and I only look just to see if the sound is synced and all of that sort of stuff. I never really look to see if I'm chipper or not, whether I'm wide awake. I remember, for a good long year of doing the blogs, I was nearly falling asleep and I was drifting and moving left and right. And this was all to do with the heart problem, which I'm glad they found out. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm better that way for definite. Really hoping your mother is okay, mate. Currently, my father has the flu and he's extremely poorly. Always a worry this time of year regarding both my parents. Yeah, and that's what's a worry for me. My mum won't go in and get a flu jab. She's had a cold. She's coughing. She's had coughing. It's the memory thing now. But my mum is just adamant. I don't want to go see a doctor. It's just a cold. It'll go after a couple of days. All that bollocks that I get. But I have to do what my mother says. And if I do feel that it's going against the grain, I'll just phone the doctor and say, sorry, you got to come. Simple as that. So I am conscious of that, and we have done that a couple of times this year. So I am paying due care attention. One more week to go then. I'm free for 7 days. So that means back to decluttering the attic and desperately trying to and start on a video. Yeah, I know what that means. I know you're the man for it. If you've ever bought anything that you don't want, give it me, I'll have it. That's what I've always said. So have a little look up there. Your GP is horrendous. What a way to treat patients and stress someone with heart trouble. Exactly. That was last week, and I can't agree more. The very nature of the fact that it wasn't even my normal GP to go and cancel an appointment. Nah. Awful. It really did get my stress up. You continue. You are so right regarding HDR. The breakthrough is colour in 4K. That's including Dolby Vision. Picture resolution is a secondary thing for me. OLED definitely brings out the best in picture quality. Can't wait to purchase my new LG G4 OLED in the Black Friday Currys sale. Yes, and we have to remember that next Friday, I think, is Black Friday. Not always the cheapest time to buy something. There are some bargains that you can have on the lead up. The best thing I can advise you to do, and I did this a couple of times in the last couple of years, there are sites that look at the market value of products and their drop in price, and you will see that there are stuff that drops faster and be at their lowest price, and they won't be on a Black Friday sale. They will be earlier in the months leading up to Black Friday. Black Friday's lost its touch on the reasons behind Black Friday. I mean, all you have to do is Google up and say, what is the beginnings of Black Friday? And you will see what the purpose of it was. It's not that now. My God, I mean, it's I find a little bit like the Dreams bed sale. Now, people in America aren't going to understand what I'm talking here, but the Dreams bed sale, I think you can count on more on your hand when there isn't a sale on at Dreams than there is when Dreams are having a sale. I think they got 3 days in the whole of the year where they haven't got a sale on. Can't understand the adverts, to be quite honest. If you ever want a new bed, just go down the Dreams. There's bound sure to be a sale on. Stupid. So yeah, be careful with that. But I'm glad you got your eye on the perfect telly. Hope you get it what you want, matey. I'm dead jealous because not only are you getting your telly, but you're also getting a new car, aren't you? I think that's another one. I haven't bought anything new for a long time. So yeah. You continue. So finally I got my Blake 7 box set, but not without issues, as you know. It's everything I could have asked for regarding the episode restoration, and the extras were quality. One note of interest is fandom, believing this has to sell well for future series to be released, and also believing that no further effect shots have been created. Logic totally dictates that the majority of all have been done already, as costs increase and it's taken years to get to Blu-ray as it is. Another poster suggested they don't know what extras are going on the next set as well. The mind boggles. Yes, you don't do a series like Blake 7 where you know there are 4 seasons of it, where you've not already planned out what the extras are going to be. And you're quite right. Model work, special effects work. The prices are going to inflate as we get into a worse situation in regards to the economy. It would be stupid to wait now after the first series is out on what you're going to be doing with series 2. You'd be at least planned out the whole of series 2 and probably doing a plan for series 3 while the first one is going out. It'd be stupid to go, right, let's wait now for the figures to come in for the money and then we'll plan the second one. Nah, don't work like that. I'm in total agreement with you on that. I'm probably wrong, but I'm definitely in agreement currently at the moment with that on you. Great to hear you mention you had an Amiga club. I did too. The next room housed Atari STs. Fantastic memories. Yeah, it was going to London. I was going down to see a friend called Sarah. Yeah, Sarah Smith. She had her own accountancy firm called Sarah L. Smith & Co. Yeah, that's right. She lived along the Finchley Road. So that's North London. And I was travelling down to London quite regularly. I've only got pictures of my visits to things like Rock Circus and things like that from that time, rather than the time of the club itself. But I had great time there. The hardest thing to do was parking when you were travelling along the Finchley Road. Finchley Road had a richer sounds, and right at the end of Finchley Road was an Odeon. There was a lot to do around Finchley Road. It's full of food shops though. You know, like you want a curry or a kebab, my God, you're in heaven along Finchley Road in the late 80s. My God. Yeah, but that was happy memories. Like you, I watched the Arcadia videos. I'm fascinated by the system. I'm assuming this was released before the Amiga 1200 was a thing. It would have benefited the arcade system better with the more powerful system. Oh my God, matey, Amiga 12, the 1200 was well after. The Arcadia machine was between the A1000 and the A500. So in its infancy. The board is more in line with an A500, but the A1000 tendency is there. You can see on the board where the sidecar would be on an A1000. I've looked at it, and the more I look at it and I go, wow, that looks more like an A1000 there. It had Kickstart 1.2 on it, on chip. The A1000 had that on disc. But when the A500 became popular, it was already a Kickstart 1.3. Early A500s were Kickstart 1.2. So it's definitely a board around the time of the, because you've got to remember there's development time on this. It would have been developed, I think, in tandem with the A500, which means the A1000 was still being manufactured. This is what I want people to understand. So it is the bridge board between the two. And remember, I've seen the American one and I've seen the British one, but not the insides. I just know what the outside looked like. My good friend Martin, who died a couple of years ago, worked on the American Air Force Base, and he fixed the arcade machines. I've seen the inside of Gauntlet before Gauntlet was even in this country, because Gauntlet was up on the was at the BX Centre. It's where I played Assault. Yeah, one of my favourite arcade games, Assault, was. And he used to open up the machine for me, and I used to say, bloody hell, it's empty in there. And he went, oh yeah. And they're very simple. It just slots in. It just slots into these daughter boards. And then he said the most difficult thing he has to do is discharge the power supply and then work on why the power supplies started to fail, or working on the CRTs. Because they were CRTs in them, and they didn't half pack a punch. So yeah, he learned, you learn an awful lot from my mate. Brilliant it was, though. Miss him to death. You continue. You say, out of interest, do you know if Rockford ever made it into the Arcadia system? I know it's currently missing from MAME. As far as I know, Rockford came out on the Mastertronic Arcadia label, but the only known surviving parts of Rockford that was supposed to be intended for the Arcadia system is its graphics. I think they dumped the graphics. Those graphics were used in Rockford, the budget game that came out on the Arcadia, but the game was rewritten. Had to be totally rewritten because none of that code was salvageable or dumped. So all that they could dump was the graphics. I remember seeing a picture of Rockford in Zap, and it showed a picture of Rockford holding a diamond, throwing it up in the air next to a cave cliff, with some sort of jungle underneath. That was the only thing that I saw ever of Rockford. And like I say, the Arcadia budget Rockford is not very good, but it's far away from what they were going to code for the system. So shame, really. Borderlands, a film so bad it's good. Is it Wizards of the Lost Kingdom good? I know what you're saying there. Borderlands has a bad rap. I didn't like it, but it's got some fun moments. The special effects are always there. It's a popcorn movie. There is enjoyment to be had, but you don't have to look. In my opinion. Okay, question for this week. Seeing as Ian has pitched my question, laugh out loud, I'll alternatively ask, if Blake 7 was to return to the small screen, what actors would you pick for the parts? You could pick any character who you like from all 4 series. Oh, man, that's hard, because I'm not very good with names as it is, and you've mentioned that I could only choose characters that were existingly from the 4 seasons of the series, which I don't even know if they're alive. I'll go with some names that I'd like to see bring in. I think Mark Gatiss would be good as a person to bring in. Mark Gatiss would be great. Then Cumberbatch, the bloke who plays in Sherlock, he'd be a good character. He'd be a good person to bring in. Oh, who could I have? You want somebody quite bulky but sturdy and not a handsome person for Blake. Who would I have for Blake? Ooh. I'm really struggling. No, I'm not gonna do very well here, matey. But Mark Gatiss, yeah. He'd be good. Villa, I think. Cumberbatch, Avon. I wish I could think of someone for Blake. So terrible. Trying to think. Paul McGann? Doctor Who? Yeah. Paul McGann? It'd be quite good. Ooh. I think we'd have to have Matt Smith in it and David Tennant somewhere. I see I'm mentioning people from Doctor Who because I just know what sort of actors they are. They've all been to the Royal Shakespeare Academy, when they were studying Shakespeare. That means that they're good for drama. We know their credentials in Doctor Who. That means we know that they'd be pretty good in something like this. I wouldn't want to bring too many jokes and things into it. The joke relief to me was always Villa. Yeah, sorry, matey. I've done really crappy for your question this week, but I hope you've got some names there at least. You say, thank you, my friend. Pass on my best to your mother, and we'll catch up with chat this week. Hope so, matey. We haven't had a chat in ages. I tell you what, it'd be really good to do a discussion on Christmas adverts. Maybe the spirit of Christmas. I'd have loved to have done something on Blake 7, but maybe we've passed the point that we can do that now. Being as I think everybody that's ever interested in Blake 7 has probably done a retrospective on that now. But I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out my arse. Don't know. But salute, my friend. Thank you so much. Until next time, we'll definitely have that chat this week. We moved to Jambon and he's put, hi Del, so glad to hear your operation was a success. You've been through a terrible time, but hopefully things will improve and you can get back to a semblance of normality. We'll keep my fingers crossed for a speedy recovery for you. Take care, sir, and all the best. P.S. Hope your mum is okay. What a lovely sort of comment to have. It's just nice sometimes that friends can just basically just put, hope you're all right. That's all that matters. It means that you're in people's thoughts. They know that the operation's just gone and they're asking, how did it get on for you? Are you okay? All of that. You may not speak to them very often, but that's always a great thing. It's just something out of the blue. I miss our talks, Jambon. I miss that we didn't go to Pinfest. You've had your own problems, and so it was just nice to get a couple of lines from you, because it's been a couple of months since we last heard from you. Absolutely brilliant. So thanks for that. Salute, my friends, and we move to my old mate Ian Hill, the Ramblings, who has to put up with me every Wednesday. And he does. He's put, I'm reading this out just verbatim. It's put, hi Del Boy, hope you and your mum are okay. Always love Wednesday when we have our live chat together. Enjoyed it, and I know you did. Always great fun and a learning experience too. We did have one of the big live chats against us, but it did not spoil things for me. No matter what I know, we both will continue to do it. I really appreciate those who are loyal and always support us. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And, you can't do anything about scheduling and all of that sort of stuff, as much as you hope. But we had a great time. We've done 32 of these now, Ian. We're established, and we've got a great support team that basically come and speak to us in our little time slot. So long may that continue. You continue. Some data sticks arrived in the post today, and I've been downloading some films, including Alien Romulus and the controversial Joker 2. I'm looking forward to seeing them. I hope I will love and enjoy them. Been disappointed with some films recently. Yeah, we have been talking about those in our chats. I've watched McVicker 1980, done my research, just got to record my review. Should be on the channel for Monday. I was impressed with Roger Daltrey and some great music. Yeah, the 1980s films and the hard-hitting McVicker. I remember seeing that. There's a lot of films around that time that I loved, like Kes and all of that sort of stuff. McVicker. Yeah, that was an edgy thing. It was weird to see Roger Daltrey play a role like that. But maybe I shouldn't have been. But back then, I only saw him as a singer. So, I was what? 12, 13 when McVicker was there? So, yeah. To me, it was weird to see a singer in an acting role. You continue. I've at last ordered the Blake 7 Blu-ray release and also picked up on a sale with a film set in Yorkshire, which you will have heard of. LOL. Yeah, I think I know what he's talking about. Now, I remember you bringing up Richard III. His, the last Yorkist king. His death and defeat in 1485 at the Battle of Bosworth brought an end to the War of the Roses, with the Lancastrians, Henry VII becoming king. They were the Tudors from Wales. He married Elizabeth of York to bring about the reconciliation of the Yorkists. His son, Henry VIII, was to become one of the most famous kings in British history. I do love history. Yeah, I'm very, very interested in history. I was talking about Richard III because Richard III was on TV, again, the documentary where they found the bones of him in a car park. But Richard III has always been portrayed as a deformed king, a person with a hump. They've always turned around and said, how do you get armour on a cripple? All this sort of stuff. And then some people have been talking about how deformed he was, whether the hunch was has been bigged up to be bigger than it actually was, when he actually had just probably some spinal difficulties or whatever. Very interesting. I'm always interested in the Tudors. The Tudor period is my favourite period of time for looking at royalty. Henry VIII, Elizabeth I. Such a huge amount of time as well, because they ruled for quite big periods of time. And of course, we all know about Henry VIII's huge ambitions, of being head of the church and beheading all of his queens because he couldn't get a male subject, a male baby from his wives and all of that. And then, of course, Elizabeth I, a frail woman ruling over England, being a powerhouse of a ruler, all of the plots against her, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, the Tudors, I've got a big sort of fondness for reading up about the Tudors. It's great. With the Blake 7 release, I've got a question for you. If there had been a 5th series, what direction and stories would you have liked it to taken? And the best, and have a great grand time. Wow. Do you know what? That's been speculated by much better people than me. Anybody that knows Blake 7 knows it had a cliffhanger ending. Well, another cliffhanger ending. An ending that of all endings. It would seem that everyone was killed. Although there is obviously one that's where you only hear a gunshot out of camera, and then the titles roll. Now, I've listened to lots of fandom, and I've listened to even the producer at the time of that being shot, and his answer to it was the one thing they wanted to get out of that last scene was to kill Blake off once and for all. Everybody else that you see getting shot, you see no blood. You don't know if they're dead, and they could be stunned. You have to also understand that nobody knows what happened to Servalan. And Servalan is a person that really, really wanted to inflict torture for all of the stuff that they did against the Federation. So you have to understand she probably wanted them alive. Most of the crew were killed by the soldiers. You don't know what gun setting they had set. And I was going, do you know what? That makes sense. So if that was true, then basically, although you saw 5 appeared deaths at the end of the last episode of Blake 7, which was just called Blake, by the way, 4 or 5, of them, 4 of them could be alive. And that means that they could get away. And then you'd have to ask yourself, but what stories would you want to see? Now, we'd already seen 4 seasons of hit and run strategies of let's blow up this plant and destroy the communication array so they're blind and all of this sort of stuff to end the Federation. It was almost like the Magnificent Seven, do you know what I mean? The actual film, rather than Blake 7. And I think that the 5th season would have had to have gone in a totally different direction. I think we would have had to have looked for the destruction of the Federation from within. Yeah, the rebels would have had to have looked for rallying for a big battle, like a big space battle. It could have even have ended up being a Star Wars end with the Federation having a Death Star or something, right? That would be an interesting way to look at things. Some people have even said that the scene that we saw at the end of Blake 7 was a dream sequence. It was Blake being mind controlled again, especially as Blake came in and it was mentioned that Blake doesn't even know who is a Federation person anymore. He's being mind controlled that many times. So maybe we were actually looking at Blake's interrogation, and that's what the whole of the last season was. Because he did come back as a guest in other, he was in the first 2 seasons, then he was away, he left, but he did come back as a few guest appearances. And you don't know whether after his last guest appearance that everything else afterwards was mind control interrogation, and in his mind what was going through to show an end to his tyranny. Yeah, interesting. Thanks very much for that, Ian. That was absolutely brilliant. I think my answer's shitty, but I've got some ideas. And like I say, most of it comes from me over the years listening to podcasts and all that sort of stuff. It's been debated left, right and centre, the end of Blake 7, and so it should do. It's one of the quintessential endings to any TV series I've ever seen. And I'm just going to take a break, and I'll be back in a moment. I've had an absolute great first hour and 15 minutes. I'm just going to basically check on my mum, give her a cup of tea, and then I'll be straight back. Won't be a moment. And we're back. And like I said, I just got my mum a cup of tea, splashed my face, nothing else. And I've just finished with Ian Hill, The Ramblings. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Sorry, I probably butchered your question. But we moved to Wee Bob Art, and he's put, great to see you out the other side.
and well, may your recovery continue. Thank you so much, my friend. I've been unwell for a number of days, so your video was good today, as I had something I could put on in the background and listen along to. No, that's brilliant. I'm glad something useful comes from this. I've been doing this with the Wednesday live stream with Ian and going back through all the older ones as well. I actually didn't mind Borderlands, but I know nothing of the game, just thought it was a sort of a stupid film. Yeah, it's based on the game. The game is well received, the early ones anyway. The film was in a terrible production state. I think it's Kate Blanchett it's in it. She bad-mouthed it, said she can't even remember doing it, and that it was just a bad filming overall. I didn't know that when I went in to see the film, and I just saw it as a popcorn film, and I thought it was a poorish one, but it had some good spots in it, like any film does. So you said it reminded you of Tank Girl from 1995 a bit. Yeah, I've got Tank Girl on Laserdisc, believe it or not. That's a comic book adaptation. Tank Girl, I never really read the comics much, but I did buy a couple of them before I went in to see the film, and I thought it was okay again. Not well received, commonly listed as as a very bad film, but I again saw enjoyment in that film. Not saying it was a great movie, but decent. And then, yeah, I'd probably say that was more rounded than what I gave it, to be quite honest. Well done, wee Bob. You can take over my job anytime you want. Sorry, my question in this blog was a bit open-ended about environments. I will try to narrow down the question to be slightly more specific. No, it was all right. I just got confused, matey. It's not that. Sometimes it's how a question is structured and how a person interprets it. Like I said, I value any question. I just try to give the best an answer as possible. Not always is it easy, because it really is thinking on your feet. And I tend to not read the questions before I go in on a Sunday on this. I like it to be fresh. So, it's a bit of hit and miss sometimes with what my brain was thinking when the question that I read. So don't feel bad about that. You've just watched Transformers 1, the film, which is the new animation origin story. Really enjoyed it. So worth a watch if you get the chance. I wanted to go and see that. It was one of those films where I went, I've really got to go and see that, because the word on the street was good about it, but I just never got round to it. I've ordered the steelbook. Steelbooks and the films come out now so quick after the film release that I know that I'm not too far away from watching that now. Trying to think what else I watched this week. Started watching The Outsider, which is a TV series based on the Stephen King book, though it was new, but it came out in 2020. It is pretty good adaptation of the book so far, and again, might be one to add to the list if you're ever looking for stuff to watch, which I doubt. To be quite honest, I've started watching a lot more with me being off. You haven't said whether it's on Netflix, Prime, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus. I'll have to look. But I've been watching The Nautilus this week, which is... it came out, I think, in October, so I'm a bit behind with that. 10 episodes. I've watched 4. It's okay. Bit of a different, weird vibe to it, based on what I consider to be 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Nemo. More a sort of like pot shot at the British Empire, really, from what I've looked at it as. I've been watching Mike, which, as you can probably guess, is a dramatization of Mike Tyson. 10 episodes again, half an hour in length. I'm up to episode 7. There's 10. All of them are available, so I'm only an hour and a half away from finishing that. The Penguin is finished now. I finished a couple of weeks ago the Marvel Wanda second season, which is more about Agnes. I need to get caught up with the ones that Denny has been mentioning. Been meaning to do that, especially the one with Gary Oldman in. So yeah, got plenty to watch, believe it or not. That one sounds interesting. The Outsider. It's another one to add to the pile, as Cy would say in the chats on Wednesday. Anyway, you say, enough about what I've been doing. So here's my question. Kev Down the Rabbit Hole did a video this week about Dungeons and Dragon type dagger he brought back from his travels. Do you own any replica weapons in your collecting stash that you would be willing to share, show, and give some background? All the best to you and your mum. Now, to believe it or not, I have 2 replicas that I can think of immediately, but they are in the attic, stored away in the boxes, covered with stuff that makes sure that they don't get damaged with any drops in temperature or rises in temperature, because there's no air conditioning or heat control in the attic. I got a pair of replica web shooters from Spider-Man, and a replica mask, and I've also got a replica weapon from the film that I was in called Apocalypse, which I was an extra in. They allowed you to take an item from the film as a remembrance, and because I was a lead zombie, even though my part was pretty much cut out, you see me for about 5 seconds. That's what happens in films. Didn't bother me, because the reason that I was in it was actually to see how films are made. I saw how runners work, I see how set designers work, I saw how script writers work and how that was changed on the fly. I saw how the cameraman operated, saw where the director stood when he was doing a scene. Learned such a lot. That was the reason I was in the film, and it was brilliant. So yeah, I've got web shooters, and I've got a weapon from the Apocalypse film that I was in. I've probably got some others. I haven't got things like lightsabers and sonic screwdrivers and all of that sort of stuff. But I've got so much memorabilia stuff, my statues and all of that sort of stuff, that it would cost an absolute fortune to have actual prop replicas. I always wanted a replica from Blade Runner. I'd have loved a Blade Runner gun, say, or what Kevin's had, where he's had a bottle of bourbon from one of the films. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? I mean, brilliant. Anyway, enough about what I've been doing. Oh yeah, so we've talked about that. All the best to you and your mum. No, thank you very much, Vblog. That's absolutely brilliant. And what a fantastic question. I will see if I can go into the attic and bring down the replicas and show them off. I have got my statues up there, so I do need to bring them down and carry on my statue series. So it's all a possibility. By the way, I've also got, I was in something called the Star Trek Adventure when I went to Florida with my girlfriend the first time I went over, where you could actually be in a Star Trek film. They green screen you in with scenes taken from Star Trek 2 and 3. The only thing that is, it's on VHS, but I could convert it from NTSC to PAL and do it digitally. But then if I play it, I'll probably get a copyright strike. So, difficult one. I don't know of many people that have shown off their Star Trek adventure on YouTube, but if I could, I would. So we continue. We go down to the next person, which is, and it's salute, my friend, to you, Colin Jones, aka Ponder. And he's stated, Trump, the American electoral system is badly broken, but when it boils down to it, his success is a symptom of the feelings of the country. The one positive thing is this is the last time he can stand unless he somehow overcomes the 22nd Amendment. And yes, all eyes are on this at the moment because he's changing the law system. Don't know if that's to protect him and the fact that he was impeached, but that's a hell of a thing that he might try and do. You've continued, sorry to hear the operation was less than comfortable, to say the least, but at least it's done now, and with any luck your recovery will be swift and you'll be back to normal in no time. Yes, and I think I will be, matey. That pain, I'll know more by the end of next week. Hopefully will be gone. You've mentioned that the medical care is a farce. Yes, it is. On the subject of health, I'm glad to hear your mother is improving a little and hope this continues. Yeah, a little bit. Shaking Stevens is Michael Barrett. Yeah. Why did I say Gad? That's bloody Gary Glitter. Gad is somebody who I try to avoid even talking about because he's from the town that I live near. So, yeah. I actually know his cousin who ran the local fish and chip shop, and that's where I played and got quite good at a few arcade games like Turpin and King and Balloon. I know of those two games. That was way back. So yeah, that's an interesting little snippet. I think you ought to talk about that a little bit more in your vlog a little bit, your past experiences. I wasn't expecting your messenger answer, and I was impressed, to be fair. Session may be exactly what you're looking for if you haven't found one already. Yeah, it's one of those things where if I'd have known about that back in my probation days, that'd have been one that I'd have gone, do you know what? I've been speaking to somebody in the know and he's mentioned this and I think we ought to look at it. They would have listened to me, and we would have looked at that and it'd have been on the test bed. Definite. I will pass it on though. There is no successor. The IT structure has been totally brought into the Ministry of Justice now, which means that the whole structure now is not controlled by individual IT people in each building like it used to be, or area. So it is a bit difficult. Amiga Arcadia Rock Lobster. Yeah. My question: cursing in movies, on TV, and in music. Good, bad, or flexible? Flexible. Easy for that one. Good, bad, or flexible. I could go down the route of good and bad, and there would be an equal argument for either side. Flexible I am. I've always looked at it that I believe that swearing is okay if it's in context, if you're looking at films and TV. When you're talking about drug dealers, they don't go, oh, my giddy aunt, isn't that bad that we're doing this? I think we ought to put these drugs in pouches and go out there. And please be nice to the people while they're out there while you're trying to sell it to them. Goodness gracious me. Make sure also that you clean yourself up. You look like a scruffy windbag. That is not happening. It's all effing and blinding and all of that sort of stuff because that's real life. Sometimes I think they go to an extreme. Remember, I've worked in probation and I've spoken to drug dealers. And they've talked to me about crack houses and all of that sort of stuff and how they got tied up in it. The language that's used on the interview tapes for those is fruity, but it's in context. I don't like is all this bad slang and stuff in rap records and all of that sort of stuff. They will say that it's in context for them living on the streets. My opinion to them is keep it in the streets. At least with TV and films, you can slap 18 certificate things, control who listens to them. The trouble is with music, as much as you can put a certificate on it, as much as you can tell Radio 1, don't play it, it will get in the hands of minors. They'll listen to it. They'll be singing the songs to it. Slang, the N-word and all of that sort of stuff will be brought up by white people. They will get into fights. Black people will turn around and say that's something that only they can use and all sorts of bitter arguments in regards to all of that. I'd rather not have that. So music is a different concept. I don't agree with swearing too much in music. Even some of the ones that are soft that were done by people like the Beautiful South or whatever, had the odd swear word in it. Blondie had used a swear word in one of the songs, but at the end of the day, it's not effing and chuffing and all the rest of it all the way through it, is it? So yeah, I look at it like that, matey. I hope that's a good enough answer for you, and salute, my friend. Next one is Gan's Teeth. He's put, that was quite a serious procedure, but they just patch you up and boot you out looking like a human dartboard. Yeah, I mean, there's the bruises still, and it's been, what, a good 2 weeks now? Less so on this. Look, you can see pretty much gone. This side was atrocious, and it hurts so much. All this week it's been itching and all sorts. Hopefully you'll feel better over the next few days. Yes, I think I will do, matey. Talking about Roger Moore's Bond made me realise that A View to a Kill is the only Bond film that I've ever seen at the cinema. How many Bond films have you seen at the cinema? Oh my God. The first Bond film I ever saw at the pictures was The Spy Who Loved Me. I saw all of the Roger Moore ones after that. I saw all the Timothy Dalton ones, The Living Daylights, License to Kill. When he got to Pierce Brosnan, I saw Goldeneye and Tomorrow Never Dies. Then I stopped watching. Oh, and while we were in the middle of Timothy Dalton and Roger Moore, I watched Never Say Never Again with Sean Connery. The only Sean Connery one I saw at the pictures at the time. So once we get to Tomorrow Never Dies, I didn't see another Bond film until Casino Royale. And then I watched Skyfall, and that was the last one I ever watched. So I don't know quite how many that is. But that's my Bond in the cinema. I have seen Goldfinger because it was an anniversary at the cinema. It was only, though, 8 years ago. So yeah, that was fun because it was, you know, other than Never Say Never Again with Kim Basinger in, it was the only Sean Connery film I'd seen, and I wanted to see him in his youth because I'd seen it on telly, and it's one of my favourite Bonds of all time. I think I'd like to see On His Majesty's Secret Service at the cinema. That would be good. Definitely would like to see Live and Let Die. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for that question. I hope that gave you a good answer. Salute, my friend. We move to Martroid. He's put, I'm glad you're doing well, Del, but it sounds like a bit of an ordeal that you went through, so you certainly have my sympathies, buddy. Oh, that's really nice of you. Thanks very much. Absolutely brilliant. I'm just so glad, yeah, I'm out the other side. I'm itching a little bit here, but being as my heart's here, it's not too much of a problem. And like I say, when I press my chest and all of this sort of stuff, it feels a bit tender, but I don't feel that golf ball pressing. But I only took my tablets a couple of hours ago, so they're probably in effect. And the last one is a new one called R2 the Cat. He hasn't put too much. He's put, hello there. First of all, Commodore 64 forever. Press play on tape, Lodestar, 8, 1. Amiga forever. Insert disc 2. This is all it says. I also love the other 8-bit and 16-bit home computers, such as Sinclair ZX Spectrum, Amstrad CPC, Atari 2600, XL, XE, 520ST, 1040ST, Spectravision, MSX, Acorn Archimedes, ColecoVisions, Intellivision, and second of all, a new retrospective channel subscriber, because he's become a subscriber. And he's from Finland, Vantaa. So thank you very much for joining as a subscriber. That's really good of you. Every single one of those systems, absolutely brilliant. I hope you stay around. It's a good community here. There's a couple of Discords that you might want to look at. Mamemeister's and mine. They're all in the description. I've been doing some gaming videos that you might be interested in. And I tell you what, so many people in here have got a gaming history, and we've all been playing on our Misters and on our proper hardware editions of stuff. You're bound sure to pick up something in these blogs and in the and on my friends' videos that I really do recommend that you look at the description, have a little look, and start looking at things like Steve's Gaming, Robert's Gaming, Colin Jones aka Ponder does a high score challenge, all of that sort of stuff. Great stuff that you should get involved with. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And that's the end of the shout outs and the comments. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. So we got through that, and we moved therefore to Watched on YouTube. As you know, Watched on YouTube is all the stuff that I've watched that come up in the alert box. You know, some of this stuff could be friends of mine, but there's always the two that I always constantly watch. They're there pretty much all the time, and that's This Week in Retro and Tecmo. So what's happened in This Week in Retro? So this is Neil's RMC and so forth. The subjects for this week were Mega Regenesis, Hulsbeck Beckons, and Would You Like Some Retro Father? Yes, I remember these now. I watched them. There's a couple of good stuff in there. I was interested in the Hulsbeck one because I like the music side of things. Less so about the Genesis, but it was great. And it's all about the Irish retro scene, which was brilliant for the Would You Like Some Retro Father? So that was quite a good week. Nowhere near as good as the week before. Brilliant. I mean, everything I was listening to in that. Tecmo. Again, always a hit and miss, but always something of interest for me to listen to. He did the Cantu Sid speaker, all in a good deal. The Canto Sid speaker is to replace a couple of speakers that he'd got, which are quite costly, you know, about 200 or 300 quid. The Canto Sid speaker is those two speakers combined on a kickstand, and has the same connections as his old speakers, which is important to him because he does lots of videos in regards to hi-fi stuff, and he's constantly having to plug wires in. So this is his new speaker setup because his old ones were getting a bit battered. He did mention if you want to buy these speakers, you have to have a weird way of getting the speaker to this country because they've gone unique under a new banner, a shop that you can order them through, and they don't ship to Britain. So you have to go down the same route that us people that buy steelbooks and films, where you have to have it sent to a central distribution point, and that distribution point then sends it to you, and you pay the tax and the postage on that, on top of it being posted to that distribution center. All convoluted, but it's possible. What else? So Chronological Gaming I've been watching now religiously every day in the week. He continues the November 82 month. I think he's getting to December next week. That's going to be interesting because December, as you know, all the way through from the late 70s all the way through to I think the early 2000s, games was something that we looked forward to as kiddies to get as presents at Christmas, and we always used to want to play a game that would get us through the Christmas week before we went back to school or work. That's definitely one to watch when it gets to December 82. I'm looking forward to 1983. It's where things really took off in the games, computers and console era. Near mint condition did a first look at the Fantastic Four Omnibus Volume 5. I mentioned that one because it's rare, very rare, that an omnibus gets to a Volume 5. Usually there'll be 1, 2, possibly 3, and you won't see another omnibus for years and years and years. Fantastic Four finally gets to Volume 5. They did a Volume 4 last year, and tell you now, Volume 3 was 8 years before that. So there was an 8-year gap between Fantastic Four Volume 3 and Volume 4. This is what I'm talking about. the omnibus has really started to lift off a little bit. Great to see a volume 5. RMC, so I've just mentioned about this week in retro, is doing From Arcade to Tabletops. So in his cave where you can visit, they do discussion points, and this one guy turned up and he started talking about how before we had consoles, we used to have tabletop arcade machines like Astro War, Pac-Man, Space Invaders. They were all handheld. And he talks about those and how they progressed from the mechanical aspect of them to the fluorescent display ones. So that was brilliant. That's definitely worth a watch. Floppy Deep Dive did an interesting versus, which came up in my feed. It was Apple IIe versus the Commodore 64. I haven't seen that before. It's always been Atari versus Commodore and all of that. This was Apple IIe versus Commodore 64. So that was interesting. Retrogames.co.uk did an Atari 800 special, which I was very interested in. Never come across this channel before. Very fun. Nice to watch. Thinking I might watch a few more of his stuff. Brilliant. Definitely worth it. Then NVIDIA GeForce, that's the people who make the graphic cards, did a Half-Life 2 special because its 20th anniversary is just coming up, and there is a special Half-Life 2 RTX remaster of Half-Life 2. It was also mentioned in This Week in Retro, and I looked at this documentary, then looked on YouTube, and there are other documentaries, and it's just about to come out, and boy, does this game look fantastic. And to be quite honest, how can you muck it up? Half-Life 2 is a brilliant game. They haven't touched the balance of the game. It is just a remaster. It's done with ray tracing. It's done with the RTX method of new improved graphics with light sourcing and so forth. Brilliant. Definitely one I'm interested in. And the last one is, who knew? But the Gadget Show, you know, that used to have Susie in, you know, that used to be on Channel 4 back in the day. They do a podcast every week. They're in season 2, episode 5 at the moment. I'm busily going back through the back catalogue, looking at the initial ones. And it's just like the old days where they're looking at consoles and phones and earbuds and laptops and tablets and gadgets for your car and all of that sort of stuff. Brilliant. Because I tell you what, the Gadget Show on Channel 4 or 5 that's been around now for the last 10, 15 years. I think the last time I watched it, Craig Charles was still doing it. Shadow of its former self, and I really dropped off. I never bothered watching it after a while. It was a must watch on a Friday for me, the Gadget Show. Now it's on YouTube. Brilliant. And it's so good to see Susie back and all that. Brilliant. We moved to some people that I know, and like I say, if things that are not here this week, it's because they just had nothing to show me this week. So the first one is Ian Hill, The Ramblings. His output is actually slightly less this week. He's done, but I tell you what, this is definitely one that you need to subscribe to and watch. You've got Top 5 Horrors from 2001 to 2007, Doctor Who Creature from the Pit review, Horrors of the Black Museum DVD film review, X-Files Season 2 Episode 22 review, album review of Donna Summer, brilliant, and then Live with Me on a Wednesday, brilliant. What can you say? You got me in it as well, absolutely fantastic. Definitely Ian Hill, such a sweet guy, such a nice guy, such a big supporter of me. You've heard his words that you mentioned, that was mentioned in the comments before. Definitely worth just even a watch. Please go over there, have a little look. The link is in the description. Playtendoguy, been busy as well this week. He hasn't done a couple of his chats because he's been taking just a couple of weeks off just so that he can fill up by watching some films and TV, so he's got something to say and talk about, which is a good idea, you know. So he did a video on his Criterion haul. So the Criterion label had a sale, and he's bought some stuff in that sale, and he wanted to show off what he'd bought. A slight review of Paddington in Peru, which is the new film in the pictures at the moment, and a Horizon Zero Dawn remaster, which is one of the big PS5 releases this week. That was great. Jamie Powell, who I spoke to in one of the chats with Playtendoguy. By the way, big salute to my friend Pete, Playtendoguy. Jamie Powell did some pickups of films, episode 200, and a shop vlog. He's doing some vlogs and he's doing them around the shops. So that's absolutely fantastic. Definitely worth a watch. Mondo Chelloveck Movies, who is my go-to guy for listening to horror these days. He did a 88 film From Beyond review, a film called From Beyond, which was absolutely interesting to watch from start to finish. Absolutely brilliant. Jim Jam Movies has done a Kex pickup and a HMV pickup this week. Absolutely fantastic. Jim Jam, must get to see him again. I must arrange a visit to go to Birmingham again, see Denny as well, possibly. And then Did You See That? Who's an old friend of the of this channel. He did a Z Talks episode 66 with guests, and he actually did a little review of the Batman exhibition in London that he went to see in October with his sister. That was fantastic. I mean, you saw all of the exhibits, the cards, the masks, the vehicles. It was all done in a mist. You had a photo opportunity at the end. It looked absolutely amazing. Definitely worth your attention. And that's what I watched on YouTube this week, till we get to the point of my friends, that do more game related stuff. Not all, but mostly. That's why I call it your YouTube. And we've got the Down the Rabbit Hole, who I always watch. He did, I finally got a D&D dagger, which you must have heard about earlier. I commented on that because I said the only dagger that I ever got was a paper opener. It looked like a D&D dagger. And he showed off a game called Quartz Quest on his Vectrex. Brilliant. And just last night, he showed off his Ghouls and Ghosts Retrocade little 1/6, I think, scale machine, which I was not. Wow, we jokingly talked about FOMO and jealousy, because many people know Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts are two of my favourite games from the arcades of that period in the 80s. Capcom could do no wrong for me in regards to Commando, Gunsmoke, Ghouls and Ghosts, Ghosts and Goblins. Brilliant. So I've got happy memories of Ghosts and Goblins, to the point where muscle memory allows me probably to get through the graveyard possibly after 2 coins, and I could probably go further as my muscle memory returns. And I'm a big collector of the Ghosts and Goblins range. The last one I bought was on the Switch, which wasn't too bad, believe it or not, but it's the best one that I've ever played, I think, was on the PSP. That was gorgeous. The best looking game I've ever seen on a PSP was the Ghosts and Goblins that was on that little handheld. Brilliant. But anyway, I digress. He's got himself a little replica, and it's also got Ghosts and Goblins on there. And of course, I'd love one myself. They sold out, but I haven't got the money for them now. It's one of those things where last year I'd have bought it. This year, no chance. Next year, possibly no chance either. There's a few things I've got to get done. My mother's health is not as great, and I've got to start saving some money as we move into this economic gloom. So my chance has gone by. So I'm just dead happy that my friend has got something that goes with his other replicas, and don't they look smart when you see them all in a row at the end of his video? Brilliant. Robert's Retro Gaming, again, output, my God. Slightly less again than normal, but my God, there's still 1 or 2 videos per day for the whole of the week here. You've got No Man's Sky, episodes 1 to 4, probably 5 by the time I've actually done this blog. Atari 8-bit, Kooky Climber, Great American Cross Country Race, Rampage, Warhawk, K-Razy Shootout. So look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Atari 8-bit games. 1, 2, 3, 4 series of games for No Man's Sky. I mean, all I've done is four videos, I think, this week. I mean, it's just out of this world, the output from these guys. Same with Steve's game. So salute, my friend. He is absolutely Canadian royalty. I am not worthy to lick his boots. Honestly, I'm not. Steve's gaming. Again, you could turn around and say that's less than normal, but he's you got to remember with Steve, he's battling through some pain at the moment. So he's done this much. Look, Foundry episodes 25 to 28, BBC Games Not Played Part 4, Homesoft Disc 20, Behind Jaggy Lines retrospective. That's what. That's 4, 5, 6, 7 videos. That's one a day. And he reckons he's cutting back. Bloody hell, in pain. Jesus, I haven't even done one a day. Amazing. Salute, my friend. My salute to you, you bastard. Fucking hate you. And by the way, he did do a comment, which I'm going to mention now, because to be quite honest, I forgot all about it. And his comment got removed. So that's why I forgot about it. Let me go back. Go to my chats. And here we go. It's got, and you'll see this. This is the reason why I've forgotten why it's so dangerous that the comment is not there. But I'm going to put it out now. He's put, 5th attempt at posting previous 4 comments were deleted. Hi, Del. I cannot put into words how happy I am for you. Now your treatment is over and you're okay. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, comments. America, huh? Oh my God, how dumb are they? All I can say is that I have no sympathy for them and they deserve all that they will suffer over the next 4 years with Trump. How a convicted criminal can run for president is just shocking. America is screwed over. Now it's time we dump this pretend special relationship with America and turn our back to Europe. In my opinion, of course. Okay, the rant is over. Sorry this comment is late. I've had a poor week. I'm suffering a bit right now. And some days I'm struggling to the point that all I want to do is sleep, as I don't hurt when I'm sleeping. Now for the question. Question 1. The official Jerry Anderson store has today, Friday, released a special limited edition UFO model which spins and comes on a nice stand. Of course, I want one, but sadly the price is way over my budget at £100. Are you going to buy one? Simple answer to that, Steve, no. Again, like you, £100, where am I going to put it? Look at my room. It would stay in its box. When I do want it, it will be sold out. It's as simple as that. It's just bad timing. I'd have been all over this 5 years ago, just before COVID, when I was still buying statues. I'd have been all over it, matey, and I'd have been showing it off. Now, no. I'm sad. It's a sad no at that, right? Question 2. What Commodore 64 game have you easily put over 100 hours in? Any at all? Lots or none? Personally, I could list a dozen or more. All the best, mate, and love to your mum. Elite. Definitely over 100 hours. The Sci-Fi Trading Company. Definitely over 100 hours. Scott Adams Adventures. Quest Probe the Hulk. Quest Probe Spider-Man. Over 100 hours. And Adventureland and the Count on the VIC-20. Star for Carnarf, possibly, because I found that really, really difficult and tricky. That's over 100. Enigma. What's it called? It was done by Beyond. Enigma Force, I think it was called. Shadow Fire as well. Shadow Fire, put over 100 hours in that. Games that come close. Scarabaeus. Forbidden Forest. Yeah, I've named a couple there, matey. Sorry that your comment wasn't in the comments section. Glad I've put it into the section where I big up your channel. And I'm glad that I can do my salute to you at last. You HE, you bastard. You're just too fucking good. So apologies that you've had to listen to your comment this late in, but maybe it will stick with people. Your comments are well respected, and I read them out verbatim, matey. So sorry you couldn't get it in. I know that there's probably a lot riding on the fact that it mentions Trump, criminal acts, convictions and all that sort of stuff. I think YouTube is just seeing the word Trump and presidency and all of that and just basically just knocking them bandy. It's all I can think of at the moment. 20th Century Gaming, we move on to my salute to my friend Steve. Absolutely wonderful guy. Do go and subscribe to him. 20th Century Gaming did Software Project games. He's done a collage of the games from 20th Century Gaming, Software Projects. And then last, we've got Seb's Place. He did C64, the games that got a big fat 0 as reviews. And that's the last of those particular people. And lastly is my friend Mamemeister. As you know, at the beginning of this waffle, if you want to call it that, or a vlog, I did Nice and Nasty, where I was the host interviewing him. And of course, he's done some stuff this week. He's done his own waffle on Friday. He's looking at doing a Sunday stream tonight, I believe he mentioned. And he did, I think it was a mashup or on Spin Dizzy, it was, where he showed off the Amstrad, the C64 and Spectrum versions of that game. Oh, and Spin Dizzy brings back such headaches for me. So that's the end of the written part of the blog. Hope you enjoyed that. There's some things for me to show now. I wonder if this overhead cam will work. I'm going to try it. So there's the overhead cam. Move my pen out of the way. So here's some stuff that's come through. So Frasier on Blu-ray has come up. Don't know if I can get that in focus. All 11 seasons on Blu-ray. Really looking forward to that. Like I say, huge box. And that came through this week. This came through from Warner. Came in its own special box. We've got A Nightmare on Elm Street steelbook. Don't think I've shown that off before. I don't know whether because the trouble with A Nightmare on Elm Street was that I got a steelbook of it and then I waited for this edition to come through, and it came through quite late. So I might have shown this or not. You can see that it's a really nice set. There's another one of these Warner ones that came through definitely this week. One that I'm really looking forward to watching, and that's Blazing Saddles. Lovely steelbook there. Marvelous looking box set on that one, so I'm really looking forward to that one. Blazing Saddles, always recognized as being one of the top comedies ever made, like Airplane and so forth, but it's got some fruity language that you probably is frowned upon these days. This came through this week. It's the second season of House of Dragon. Again, another steelbook. This one's a 4K. You can see the steelbook there, look, with some extras. I really enjoyed the second season of House of Dragons. Matt Smith is absolutely wonderful in that. And it's been mentioned, then we've got Trainspotting on steelbook, a 4K version of Trainspotting. Really looking forward to watching that again. Brings back nice memories, all set in Scotland, drug scene. It's just a classic, really. Very good, character-driven film. And then, of course, we've been mentioning Blake 7, haven't we, all the way through this. This was the big release of Monday. Comes in a nice keep case with a booklet. All the extras are there. It's all 13 episodes, 6 discs. Absolutely fantastic. So overhead cam works. That's all right, isn't it? Might be able to do some stuff with the books. Hopefully it wasn't too out of focus. Haven't used that yet, this overhead cam, so Might be something that it'll be in there. Now I'm going to try and do some trailers. Problem with the trailers is that they always contain music that might get blocked. I've done the very best I can in selecting it, but what can you do with Blazing Saddles? My God, the whole music that's in there has got the main theme running all the way through it. So, and Blake Seven's main theme is well known by Dudley Simpson. So, what can I say? I'm going to give it a go. Bring that up. Go to media playback, which is just there. And I'm going to turn myself off, turn the desktop audio on, and let you watch some trailers. So.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
There's something out there, isn't there?
You could just see cuts happening.
What did that, Lieutenant?
I don't know.
What's the coroner got to say? He's in the jar and puking since he saw it.
They're gonna kill me for sure.
Did you do it?
There was somebody else there.
He was locked in a room with a girl who went in alive and came out in a rubber bag.
No one knows where it came from or who it will visit next.
Nancy? There's something wrong with you. You're imagining things.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Do you believe in the boogeyman?
No.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
She's the only one who can stop it. If she fails,
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
no one will survive. From Wes Craven, director of The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, a new masterpiece in fantasy terror, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Who in space can be found to fill these seats? Jenna, Gan, Avon, Blake, Callie and Villa.
Now that is genius.
Together, their adventures astound.
Plasma boat launched.
Activate force wall.
Activated. Staying with you requires a degree of stupidity of which I no longer feel capable.
You saved my life.
We all make mistakes.
I don't think so.
That would not be very clever.
Why do you stay with Blake?
Well, we really are on our own.
Let's hope so.
What do you suppose it is that's lurking out there?
Launch the pursuit ships.
Blake!
It takes all my life. I will destroy you, Blake.
Blake 7, Saturdays at 6 and Sundays at noon.
The Targaryen who sits the Iron Throne is not just a king or a queen. They are a protector of the realm. Now I find myself in an impossible position.
All hail, King Aegon!
The enemy usurped my throne.
We're going to King's Landing. Well, what are we going to do about it?
We must play the board before us.
Proceed cautiously.
Fuck dignity! I want revenge.
News spreads through the realm. The great houses will come to our side.
I did not think they would be so eager to die.
My ships sail at your command.
The realm's only hope is in a leader strong enough to unite it.
Do you accept me as your queen and ruler?
This senseless war must end.
Shall none of us prevail?
Not like this.
Alison told love for our enemy. That makes her a fool.
The enemy without may be fought with swords. The enemy within is more insidious.
There is more than one way to fight a war.
War is coming, and neither of us may win.
Torn from the fiery pages of the mightiest annals of the West comes the supreme saga in the great tradition of frontier drama.
Schwarzes.
He rode a blazing saddle, he wore a shining star. His job to offer battle to bad men near and far.
What's your name?
Well, my name is Jim, but most people call me Jim.
Well, do your best.
Now, let's see. Where were we?
Oh, Rock Ridge.
Rock Ridge. I want that land. Clumsy fool.
I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. There might be a legal precedent. Of course. Land snatching. Let's see. Land. Sea snatch.
Hello, handsome. Is that a 10-gallon hat?
So just sign this, right here.
Oh, okay, give us a hand here.
All right, sir.
Work.
Okay, folks, let's wipe 'em out! The heroic sheriff rallies his citizens in the wildest finish the West has ever seen, or the movies have ever shown.
Ow! Oh, ow! Have you ever seen such cruelty?
And like I say, difficult with the Blazing Saddles because, to be quite honest, it's got the main theme all the way through it and it's a well-known track. So we'll see whether that's there at the end of the blog when you get to watch it. Other than that, I've had a ball today. Absolutely fantastic. It's cheered me up no end. The sun's out as well. Take my mum out, I think, a little bit now. And just need to do the old picture, get it out there. And hopefully this week there'll be some more content coming out from me. And hopefully a good week in regards to recuperation and rehabilitation. And thanks for all the support. Absolutely marvellous. Or every single one of you guys. Wonderful. And with that, salute until next time. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.